Hey guys, my name's Darlene and welcome back to my channel Earth and Medicine. So if you guys have been following my channel for a little bit, you'll know that I've had Candy for about 13 years. She's just an awesome horse. She does everything I ask her to do. I've definitely done a lot of good riding with her, and she's very responsive and a very smart horse. So although I consider her really well broke, I think she does need a little bit of a tune-up as far as being respectful and responsive when I'm asking her to do things. So actually over the holidays, I asked for the Quentin Anderson Downunder Horsemanship series, and I have been educating myself on just different ways of training horses. So as a disclaimer, I'm not trained by Quentin Anderson. I've never done his program before. This would be my first time practicing it and first time working on it with my horse. Candy, stop. She definitely needs a little bit of manners training. So I started watching the Fundamentals series, and pretty much it's starting with groundwork. So today I'm just going to start with round penning, as well as desensitizing to the rope, as well as to the stick and string. These are all things that he covers in his series. I've never done them before with any horse, and so this will be my very first time. Candy's never really done that method either, so you guys will be able to see pretty much from the beginning how it goes. If you guys are interested in the method that I will be working on, definitely look up Quentin Anderson and his Downunder horsemanship method. I've been very inspired by it, and I think he does a really good job. So with that, let's get started. It's been pretty cold here in the desert of southern Nevada. She needs a little bit of work, so she's going to be very fresh today. So you can just see, even just from taking her blanket off and just simple stuff, she's pretty spooky and just got a lot of energy today. So definitely this round penning exercise will help just kind of get all that out and then help her to respond and respect me a little bit more, hopefully.
Alrighty, so I take Candy out into the round pen here and I send her away from me. First, I point in the direction I want her to go, and then I cluck, and if that doesn't get her feet moving, then I spank the ground with the whip. And she didn't really need that. She usually sends off pretty well. So here I just let her trot around the round pen and just kind of let her find her footing. And I just want her to warm up a little bit before I really start driving her feet. It has been really cold here in Las Vegas, and she's out in the cold, so I didn't want her to get injured. So I just kind of let her do an easy canter and sometimes a trot around the round pen before I really start asking for her to change directions. Now, Clinton does advise to get the horse to canter in order to do this round penning exercise. I believe it's because when they're cantering and you're really getting their feet moving, they start paying attention to you more, and it kind of starts building that respect, as well as it starts getting their head to turn more into the center of the circle versus having them looking outside of the round pen. So for her, she does have her head turned in sometimes, and then other times she does have her head kind of pointed to the outside. So I believe if I drove her a little bit more, her head would turn in more. I do let her kind of break to a trot, and then I just kind of let her commit to the mistake, kind of like Clinton advises, and then I send her off again, first with a point, then with a click as needed, and if she doesn't respond to that, then I spank the ground, and if I had to, I would spank her, but she didn't need that. She was a pretty good girl. So here I ask her to change directions, and she turned into the fence, and so immediately I went to cut her off in the other direction, and then here I send her back around. So just kind of watching myself, I can tell my body language might not be obvious enough for her to really get what I'm asking. And I'm kind of still learning. This is the first time I've ever really done this, and so my positioning, I'm a little too bent forward, and I'm possibly not stepping out in front of the drive line enough. There she actually did it pretty well. So I just send her off around the other direction and kind of let her trot a little bit. I'm still thinking she needs to warm up, and she also hasn't been out to run like this in a little bit through the holidays. So she's pretty fresh. She's got her tail up, and she's kind of spunky today. So here I asked her again, and she turned into the fence, which I didn't like. So I cut her off, and just kind of observing my movements, I think I can actually be a little bit more aggressive. I've been comparing what I do to Clinton, and he's much more black and white about what he's asking, and I think I'm not being aggressive enough, and it can be a little confusing for her. So here I try to catch her eye, which actually worked, and send her off the other way by pointing and spanking the whip. And her feet are moving pretty well here. She's going pretty quickly in a canter for her. And I kind of let her go around again, kind of for myself to collect my thoughts and kind of just try a few different techniques to get her to turn two eyes to me and then to send her off. So I do have some trouble getting her to give me two eyes, as Clinton advises. So when I step in front of the drive line, either I think I'm too far back, and so sometimes she does stop, but she doesn't really give me two eyes. And so sometimes that was a little frustrating. I wasn't exactly sure what I wasn't doing correct, but I just kind of kept practicing and trying it. And you can tell she does get it pretty well some of the times. And right there, you know, she hit the brakes pretty hard, but she didn't quite turn into me. So then I actually went along the fence and then had to kind of chase after her again to get her to go the right direction. And so this is our first time doing this. I think she was doing really well overall, and you know, I was kind of just learning as well. So one thing that I do see is that I think I need to walk more in a circle with her. Sometimes I start to stand still, and especially when I'm thinking about changing directions, I'll like stop walking in general, kind of before I even ask her, and I think I'm kind of telling her the wrong message, or I'm telling her what I want to do even before I ask for the cues, and I think this can be a little bit of a bad habit. So I ask her to turn in here, and I walk backwards, and I flip over the mounting block. And I get up and kind of look around embarrassed, hoping that nobody just saw that. And here I'm just like laughing to myself. I'm like, should I move the mounting block? I'm like, no, it's fine. And Candy comes up to me and she's like, are you crazy? And I'm like, no, I'm not crazy, I swear. And she's like, give me a cookie. So I'm like, okay, I'll give you a cookie. I'm not crazy. She's like, I don't know. So I just stand here laughing and thinking about how silly I looked. So then I just send her off again and just kind of reset, and I let her trot a little bit, and I go back to work. So here I can see why cantering is a little bit better. Like when they have more forward momentum, I think it just gives them a little bit more focus on me, on the person. And so when she's just trotting and then walking, she kind of gets really lazy, and she kind of ignores me more and kind of stops listening. So this was a good lesson for me, get her moving forward more and get her paying attention and respecting me more. So I get her moving forward a little bit, cantering again. And she did break to a trot, and that's something I'm just going to have to work on, is making her responsible for her gait and keeping her moving. So I just keep kind of sending her forward, and I try not to flip over the mounting block again. In the next few days, I actually just take the mounting block out of the round pen because I'm sure I would do it again. So she turned the wrong way there, so I try to cut her off, and there I really wanted to get her feet moving because I want her to understand that that was a mistake. I want to really put that pressure on her. So here, I step out again. I do catch her eye, which was good, and send her back. So some things that I observed after reviewing his videos alongside mine were he stands up straighter when he backs up, and his movements are a little bit more black and white. So he makes that one big step out in front of the drive line and backs up till he catches the eye of the horse. The horse gives him 2 eyes, and then he changes hands with the whip once the horse is committed to change of direction and sends him off again. So here, I think I need to be a little bit more deliberate with my step in front of the drive line and then my backing up. So this is when I actually ask her to come into the center. So I catch her eye and I turn around when she looks at me and gives me 2 eyes, and I walk away and I take the pressure off. She's pretty good about coming up to me and following me around the arena. She's always been just a very personable horse, and she likes to be right there next to me. And so I just kind of pet her, and then I start kind of doing the things where I do small little circles and I try to disengage her hindquarters. So putting a little bit of pressure on her hindquarters, and I'm catching her eye. And when I disengage her hindquarters, I try to get her to step over with that back inside foot. So here it would be her back left foot. I catch her eye again, and I just kind of walk off and do little circles. Something I learned was that they're more likely to follow you in the beginning if you do these little circles out versus walking straight out. And she kind of follows me anyway, even if I just walk straight out, but it's good practice for her and for me. So I actually try to get on the other side of her to try to get her to follow me from her right side. But her right side, as you guys will probably see later on and in future videos, she really doesn't like me to stand on the right side. She's always trying to push her head to get me back on the left side, and she likes to look at me through her left eye. And there's nothing wrong with her right eye. I think it's just more her comfortable side, and a lot of horses, their comfortable side is their left side, because that's the side we put the halter on. That's the side that for the Western saddle we cinch up the girth, and so horses kind of get a preference for one side, I guess, kind of like humans. But so I try to spend some more time on her right side and just trying to get her to allow me to be on that side. And so I just kind of disengage the hindquarters, trying to keep her from pushing me back onto that left side, and I just pet her. So I go back and disengage her hindquarters, looking for that step across with her back legs, and then I just rub her to a stop, and you can see she's licking her lips and she's pretty relaxed. Disengaging her hindquarters, she kind of lost her eye there, so I went back, got her attention. I kind of snapped my fingers a little bit. And here I'm trying to get her to follow me from that right side, but the most I could do really was just those small circles, and then she would put me back on the left side of her. So this is me just kind of learning her little quirks, and I've had her for so long, but now that I'm doing this more formal training and I'm educating myself, I'm actually learning so much more about her as well as myself. So I'm really starting to notice her preference for me being on her left side versus the right. And so that's just something that I will take note of, and I'll work a lot more on her right side.
Alright, thanks you guys for joining me tonight for my first lesson with Candy using the Downunder horsemanship method. This was my very first time ever doing that with any horse. I know I probably made mistakes and kind of went off of what I was supposed to be doing, but I'm going to just review the films and just kind of analyze what I'm doing, and I think pretty much that's just the best way for me to learn, is just by watching what I do and seeing how she responds. Sometimes it's hard just to kind of see all those little things in the moment, so it'll be nice to be able to look back and watch myself and watch her. I think she did really well overall. Like, she's very responsive, and you know, she's kind of one of those horses that likes to be right in my pocket. So if you guys have any advice on horse training and horsemanship, and if you guys have used the Clinton Anderson method before, let me know in the comments. If you have any advice on things that you saw me do tonight, any helpful tips, definitely let me know. I am just going to continue to share my process and my experience with training my horse with the Clinton Anderson Downunder horsemanship methods. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you guys like this video, and I'll see you next time.